Hey everyone, welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here for this daily astrology report for December 15th, 2020. We are still, as of this recording, it's still the 14th. So we're still on the day of the new moon solar eclipse, total solar eclipse. That happened at 11:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. So the new moon has technically passed, as we can see here, it has moved past the sun now. And we are getting pretty close to the moon moving into Capricorn, and we're going to get down to boss mode pretty quickly. Moon will actually transit and ingress into Capricorn at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So by tomorrow, it will be making a square to Chiron. It will be trine Uranus. And tomorrow, the 15th, is when Chiron stations direct in Aries. So there's so much happening right now. It's unbelievable, the things that have transpired just in today, and we haven't even left today yet. So now this is right now, almost 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Venus is just coming off the sextile with Jupiter and she is coming into the last degree of Scorpio. This has been quite a ride for all of us in terms of who we value, who we love, what we value, the beauty of the world around us, and having to sink down into the mud in order to really come to terms with what is valuable to us and who we love. And it has been messy. It's been messy. It has been murky. It has not been comfortable for Venus. And it's really easy to sink into that darkness. She is at her detriment in Scorpio. She is in the sign that is the sign opposite of her home territory, which is Taurus. So she just brings all the beautiful things to her. When she's in Taurus. In Scorpio, it's a lot more complicated. The yearning to merge is very strong, but the other side of that is that you sink into it and you kind of lose yourself. So this sextile, I want to talk about it real quick because Jupiter, they basically came to an exact sextile at the very last minute of 28 to 29 degrees. So you're saying we're looking at 28 degrees, 59 minutes. They came into an exact sextile. And this is about love as the principle of redemption. And Venus is all about love. And it's all about who we love, our relationships, what feels good to us, what is valuable to us in the world. And love is the principle of redemption, especially when it comes to ourselves. We really do need to learn, and I think that Venus has been really teaching us this through the complicated emotional depth of our relationships and shared experience, how to redeem ourselves, how to love ourselves unconditionally. And if we were really able to do that today, if we were really able to see that, especially with this new moon, because that intention that we set for this new moon, and I talked a lot about it in the intuitive message today on Facebook this morning, is that if we can stay true to ourselves, really create a space within us for divine source to activate and to move through us, there is nothing but goodness ahead of us. It's the bluebird perched on the gate, the front gate of the cottage. We're almost there. And the best is yet to come, seriously. But we have to learn to forgive ourselves. We have to learn to redeem ourselves in every single moment and be our own, cleanse our own soul by loving ourselves unconditionally. And if we and those around us as well, there's been a lot of divisiveness. There's been a lot of infighting. There's just a lot of hurt feelings and hard feelings, and for many, many months. But if we can embrace this love as the redemptive principle, then I think that the sextile is to Jupiter, who is, Jupiter is reading the writing on the wall. He sees the whole picture within the world in front of him, all the institutions. It's the woman reading the tea leaves, right? It's divination, but it's divination from what is presented to us in the real world. So Jupiter has absolutely the defender of our collective values, the chief that the mother is you know is making that request for forgiveness for her unruly sons, which is really just a symbol for our own ego consciousness that has been led astray. If we and Venus as the mother, right, as the mother Earth, if we she's been asking for redemption, asking and pleading for the chief, the head, Jupiter, to forgive those aspects. And Jupiter does. Jupiter sees the writing on the wall. He sees the big picture, but it does require that we actually forgive ourselves first, and that we love ourselves unconditionally. And if we're able to do that, then it will not phase us when Jupiter moves into the next degree, which is it is time to assume responsibility for the next phase, right? The last degree of Capricorn. This is where Saturn is right now. And it is the power to assume responsibility for crucial choices arrived at after discussions with those who have power. So Jupiter is going to now move into, you can even see it here, Jupiter is now moved into that last degree, sharing the same degree with Saturn. Of course, they're not going to meet until the solstice in Aquarius, but they're sharing the same boardroom right now. And Jupiter is the defender of our collective values and is ready to assume responsibility. Jupiter is the leader, okay? And so things are going to get really, they're moving swiftly. And that was in the intuitive message today, swift movement as the outcome. Things are going to move very quickly, okay? So let's look at tomorrow, the 15th, and kind of get an idea of maybe what to expect. This is the day, like I said, Chiron stations direct in Aries, and the narrative about our wounds, our victimhood, especially when it comes to our individual experience, our subjective experience. Aries is about us, the divine masculine. It is the output of energy. It is the expression of who we are, and not in the way that Leo is in this rebirth kind of situation, but it's the essence of who we are. Aries is the I am that I am. And now the Chiron's going to station direct, all the toxic things like relationships, all of the narratives that have been reinforcing our victimhood or playing the savior in order to bypass healing from our own wounds. That's going to start getting cleared up. It's getting turned on. This whole retrograde period has giving us a chance to go back over it, to really look within ourselves, to see where we can let go of this victim narrative and heal ourselves by releasing that identity. Now it's going to start moving forward. It's actually going to start manifesting out in the real world, like with our relationships, with the situations in our lives, starting to get cut away. So that's going to start happening. Now, the moon will have moved into Capricorn, like I said, tonight into tomorrow, and it's going to square Chiron. And with the moon in Capricorn, first of all, we're going to get kind of this emotional preview of solstice and Sun in Capricorn. But specifically, what's going to happen with the solstice and what's Capricorn? This is boss mode. This is getting down to it. This is getting things done. Capricorn is the 10th house. That's our professional persona. It is power and authority, and not just over ourselves, but power and authority over the collective. So we're going to start really feeling this power and authority that has to do with a collective project, a collective, the collective culture, the collective institutions, the government, all of these aspects that are about a group coming together and creating something substantial. So it's all boss mode in Capricorn, and about resources and creating things that are substantial. So as soon as it comes and squares Chiron, right away, we're really going to feel, and this is before Chiron actually stations direct. So it's technically still going to be retrograde at this square with the moon, and it's Indians on the warpath. Okay, some of them are in a canoe and others are doing a war dance in the canoe. So there is there's a group of people, a cohesive group that is on a mission, okay, a war mission. And it's the mobilization of physical and emotional energies in a spirit of conquest. That's where the moon is going to be. There is no room in that canoe for our feelings of being a victim or saving. There needs to, and on a very individual level, this is about group cohesion for a singular goal of conquest. Aggressiveness may be a necessary ingredient in the activation of potential growth inherent in any social group. It's like this, you have to go and arouse the war spirit in order for the leader to really firmly establish their authority. Okay, this is going to start coming through, maybe under the surface, maybe in the subconscious, starting to bubble up, but it is absolutely there, and it's going to provide a real challenge to where Chiron is, which is again all about the individual experience of this victimhood. There's no room in the canoe, like I said, for all of us to be, whining and giving all of our energy to our own personal victim narrative. There's no room for that. We got a battle that we got to get ready for. Okay. This is where the moon in Capricorn is representing. So it will come around and trine Uranus today. This is much more about, as we move through Capricorn, people fulfilling their roles. Okay. It's about when we are able to align with the patterns of a group culture, if we're able to enjoy the role we came here to play, the dharma within this group, if we're able to, and it is about a bird in a sunlit home, domesticated birds. This whole bird imagery is really big right now with the new moon, with the bluebird perched on the fence. And that the spiritual transcendence that represents, if we are able to play that role and bask in it into a certain extent, and we can enjoy that condition by allowing the spiritual values it embodies to fill our consciousness. And if we can find enjoyment in that, that's really going to support the Uranus, the Uranus thing, the disruption, the radical transformation that is precipitated by the lightning bolt that Uranus usually is. And again, Uranus retrograde right now is giving all of us this internalized experience of, rocking the boat essentially, so that we can trust the rhythm. There is a rhythm to nature. There's a rhythm to natural law. There's a rhythm to this cycle, and we can anticipate what's coming based on being in tune with that rhythm. And sometimes we have to be, really disrupted in order to make sure that we really do trust this rhythm. Okay. And if we can emotionally fulfill our dharma and really enjoy it, right, and enjoy the condition that we find ourselves in, this is really going to help stay, balanced, and also learn something from the disruption that Uranus is constantly, you know, bringing us, and we are talking about earth energy here. So it's going to be very real and very palpable and very physical. Okay. Some other things that are happening. Venus is going to move into Sagittarius today. And finally, it's going to be much more about the collective value and what we can do with it, how we can act on it. After all this time in Scorpio, just, mired in all of the muck and the depth of it, and really having to come to terms with what we value when we have to look at the shadow of everything. And then we get to move into Sag and actually, use that friction as a way to alchemize the experience. Okay. But not before Venus is in a sextile to Saturn in Capricorn. The very last degree of Scorpio is about relieving tension. Okay. The symbol is children in Halloween costumes indulge in various pranks. Of course, Halloween, you would do egg people's houses and throw toilet paper in their, trees, or whatever you would do, and there need to be outlets in society when within limits, right? There needs to be some sort of outlet, just like the friction fire is kind of the outlet, and we create something new as a result of the friction. But before we get to Sag, we have to emotionally give ourselves a release from the tension, because there is a lot of tension created with everything that we've seen in Scorpio. And in any feeling experience of a collective situation, you have to, that deals with regeneration and then centrifugal force, right? Pushing back out. It needs to be managed very carefully. Otherwise, it's just going to spin out of control. And so look for some sort of controlled release in our relationships and what we value, that is very much mitigated by a Saturn in the back room, right? Saturn is in the back room. It is the secret, the secret executive group that's making decisions. Okay. And I assure you, there are multiple secret groups making decisions right now. And so there will be some controlled demolition of some sort of controlled release when it comes to our relationships, and what we value, in order to not just spin out of control. Okay. And Saturn's really going to help mitigate that situation, because Saturn in Capricorn, the last degree of Capricorn, is in fact the absolute wall that we can't get around. And so it is like, there are pranks to be pulled, but at the end of the day, like, you're not going to do anything other than pull the prank, if that makes sense. So that's also something to keep in mind for today. And then, yeah, Venus will move into Sagittarius and Chiron will then station direct. And like I said, it'll be moving from an internalized experience where we've been doing a review of all of this, and it will start to become activated, right? It'll start to actually manifest, especially with Aries. We're going to start acting on it, right? We're going to start making decisions about relationships and where we identify. Things might really change when this happens in terms of how we identify ourselves. Maybe we didn't realize that we have been acting out of this wounding this whole time. Maybe we've been playing a victim. Maybe we've been trying to be the savior. And if we've done the work with Chiron retrograde this whole time and have really been internally reviewing those things, we will find it very easy to start making moves around this. Especially with Venus in Sagittarius, like the alchemy of relationships is going to be really on point with this situation. But if we have not been doing this work and we've just been bypassing this the whole time, I think this is going to be a real struggle for people, and it'll be some shocking things that will transpire because we are not consciously and intentionally participating in this process, and the universe is just going to put us in that position anyway. So yeah, yeah. And like I said, with the moon and Cap, it's all business, all business. It's going to get real serious. And that's not a terrible thing, but it's just something to keep in mind. So that's the daily astrology for today, December 15th. I'll link at the end of this video the solstice or the solar eclipse solstice video that I just uploaded if you want to check that out. Everything else you need is in the description box below. Reach out if you're interested in a reading. I go live on Facebook every morning, as so far that there's Facebook, and do a daily intuitive in the morning. And then if you like this content, you find it helpful, please consider subscribing, definitely hitting the like button. That helps get the content spread out through the algorithm of YouTube. So I love you very much. I will see you on the next video.